If the thought of doing your own taxes seems like a daunting task, you're not alone. Plenty of people find it much easier to hire someone to take care of preparing their taxes. But how do you know who to trust? Joining me now is Dale Mingleton from the Denver Boulder Better Business Bureau with advice for finding a trustworthy company or program to use. Dale, thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, something I didn't realize is that anyone can advertise that they do taxes, and you don't have to be licensed in most states. So how do we find a legit person?
Well, you're 100% correct on that. Basically, we ask you to start by asking around. Talk to friends, family that may have had a very good program with another tax preparer. They're pleased with their services, they understand their contract, they know the fees. That's a great place to start. Then we ask you to go on our website. We have a lot of accredited businesses that you can look at. That's who you should at least start with. Interview them. Make sure you know exactly who you're dealing with and understand what they can do, what they can't do. So that's the best place to start.
So speaking of interviewing them, what are some of the kind of questions that we might want to ask when we do call?
Well, you want to understand if they're a licensed tax preparer. Are they a CPA? Are they a tax attorney, or are they what's called an enrolled agent, which means any of these folks, if something goes wrong with your tax return, they can speak to the IRS on your behalf. One of the cautions we always put out there is that folks that are not licensed, they do not have the capability of speaking for you. And so what happens with a lot of consumers is that if something does go wrong on their tax return, they are in front of the IRS and have to explain what someone else put their numbers into their package for them.
Now, the person I go to, they are licensed, but they work out of their home. Now, is that something that people should be wary of if they don't know that person?
Well, obviously, you want to check out that they are a business and a legitimate business. You can check with, are they with some of the other accounting societies? Are they registered with the Secretary of State? Which a lot of that we do for you at the Better Business Bureau. But you also want to make sure you read their contracts and understand what they're going to do, what they're pricing. And I hate to keep going back to pricing, but a lot of the complaints that we get, they thought they were starting with a very low cost price, and then all of a sudden there were changes on their tax returns or there were issues and the price started jumping up. Understand that. Find out if it's a standard tax return, what's the cost, what happens if. Find out what those if questions are. And
there's a lot of different ways that the tax preparers will charge you. So tell us a little bit about that so we kind of have a better understanding.
A lot of folks will say for a 1040A, here's your cost. And they'll say also provided no other changes or anything unusual, that's going to be your cost. Some of them will say here is your per hour charge. It really varies from preparer to preparer. So just understand and be comfortable with those dollars. You want to watch that if you want to watch how many folks when they jump out of, well, it's going to be so much per hour, we're not sure how many hours. Well, a very good tax preparer is going to say it's going to take me about this amount of time. The other thing you need to understand for taxes, provided you're doing the same thing that you've done year over year over year over year, you should have a very standard fee. It's when those changes come in that maybe you've bought a new home or you've started a business or different things like that, or someone's gone commission versus regular salary. Those are the things that can change the cost of your tax preparation.
And then I hate to end on a bad note, but this is so important to talk about. There's so many scams that are out there through your email, probably mail as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, there's a couple that are out. One that's really scary is that if you're due a tax return or a tax refund, that there's a scam organization out there saying that if you're due a tax return and you received stimulus money last year, you have to repay your stimulus money before you get your tax return, or tax refund. Simply send those dollars to us. It's a complete scam. You do not have to do that. I think the other thing that we've seen are the phishing emails, and those basically you'll be an email saying you've been approached by the IRS, there's issues, contact us immediately. Please send in all of this personal information, your social security number, a credit card number, those type of things. Those are phishing emails. If you do find those, contact the IRS immediately by phone or through their website to find out if they're trying to contact you.
Absolutely. Don't give out the money or information.
Exactly.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You can find valuable information as a business and a consumer online at denver.bbb.org. Thanks so much, Dale.